Hi guys, welcome to Vesna TV. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm going to be creating a recipe holder. So let's get going. So I'm using this sign from Dollarama. It is a like a little wooden kind of cutting board, but I think it's to hang things off of because it has these little hooks. So I'm just going to start with removing the hooks and getting it ready to be stained. What I want to do is get rid of the kitchen is the heart of the home. I want to get rid of that writing, so I will have to sand it down. I thought about painting it out, but I really wanted it to be kind of look like it was stained. So I'm going to sand it off, and I'm just using whatever sandpaper I had on hand. It comes off really, really easily. I didn't show you the process because I do it in a different room, and that room has really bad lighting. So I just take these guys off and then I sanded it off and then I was left with this. So instead of using stain, if you've watched my other videos before, I like to use the wax for chalk paint as my stain for a lot of my wood projects because it just does a really nice job of making a making it look like a stain. So what I'm doing is I'm applying it to this board sporadically, and then I wanted the board to look like it was a little bit aged, a little bit rustic. Actually, it's inspiration from my sister's kitchen. She says she found this recipe holder at Dollarama. I've looked and looked and looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find it. So I'm making my own, and hers kind of looks kind of like it's aged and it's rustic. So that's the look that I'm going for. So I'm applying this stain, but as you can see, because of the where I sanded, it takes it really nicely where I sanded it, but then the other spots, it's kind of not taking it as much. So, I mean, going back, I would probably do a better job of sanding the whole thing down, maybe use my palm sander and just sand everything down, but I'm applying it as best as I can everywhere. And then because I'm not liking the look of that, I wind up using a little bit of chalk paint, and it's the charcoal black, and I just apply that with a little bit of water only because the paint is already old, so it's kind of at the bottom and it's very thick. With a little bit of water and water it down, and then I rub it with a paper towel so that way I get a little bit more of that rustic look in there, a little bit darker. I would use black wax as well. I just ran out. I have to go. We have one store that sells them, but it's just out of town, so I just have to make it there, and I haven't had a chance to make it there yet. So I'm improvising. So anyway, I'm using, like I said, this charcoal black paint. And basically this is to your preference. You could paint it white, you could paint it black, you could paint it whatever you want. I just wanted that rustic look. So if you want a rustic look, basically the more stains and colors that you apply and the more you ding it up and the more you sand it down, the more rustic it will look. So you can see I do this and then I wind up adding some water just to kind of blend it all in because obviously I don't want this look on my board. So once I get the coverage that I'm looking for, I go ahead and I add these these dowels, these square dowels that I picked up at Dollarama as well, and I add them to the end of the board. I'm sorry that it's out of frame. I didn't even realize. So I'm using Weld Bond to put them together. And then I'm using a little bit of Weld Bond, a lot of Weld Bond and a little bit of hot glue just so that it stays. I'm not mixing the glues together at the bottom. I know you can't see it. I'll move eventually, I think. And then I just leave it to set for actually for 48 hours. I left it quite a long time just so it really, really takes and sets. I did think about adding screws into there, but then I didn't wind up doing because it was just it it glued really, really well. So again, once it was set, I did use little clamps to clamp it together too, so that way it would stick, and I put something heavy on top. So then I am going to use more of my wax to get the stain on. You could do that beforehand. I just did it after. And then I decided that I wanted to make it a little like to add a little lip to the top so that it would hold my cookbooks open. And I just add the wax to all of it and a little bit of the paint and just so that it covers and gives me the look that I'm going for, and let that sit for a few hours so that way it sets nice and hard. You should let it sit for 24 hours. I wound up having to fix it because I broke it off, but so 24 hours is the sweet spot, I think, just so it sits nice. Sticks nice. And then I went ahead and I did the back. Now, my husband helped me with the back because I sometimes those kinds of things I have to really think about. So he helped me um, with not screwing or breaking the board because, like I said, sometimes I worry about that. And what I used for the back was just that piece of wood that you can see in the screen there and a hinge. So any kind of wood. Now, I did see a video where they angle cut the piece of wood so that it would kind of sit nicely on the back of the board, but I didn't want to bug my husband to get out the saw and everything, so I just wanted to do this without that. So what we did was he made the holes a little bit bigger in the hinge so that he could get to it, because it's with your drill it's too hard to get. You're gonna see. I'm gonna show you in just a second. So you can see this little part, because when you put the hinge on the one piece of the wood, it's really hard to get your drill to get in here because it doesn't open all the way. So he made the holes a little bit bigger up there just so he could get the drill part through, and so it would drill down. You could also get just hinge that has bigger holes. Like I said, I just didn't. This is what I had on hand, and I wanted the hinge because I wanted it to be able to close and sit flat in the cupboard. So that's why I wanted the hinge in there. And then here's what it looks like all finished with a cookbook in there. I think it turned out really cute. And like I said, if you wanted to write something on, if you wanted to keep the writing and just stain a little bit over top of it, you could too. But really easy. It was a $4 board, and I had the dowels on hand, but the dowels are, I think, a pack for $3. And it fits my tablet and it fits my cookbook. So it's just a nice little stand that I can also have kind of displayed in the kitchen, and it matches the stain of my cabinets too a little bit. So I like the way it turned out. Let me know what you think. If you like it, let me know if you do anything differently. Now I'm going to add another recipe holder that I made in a video a long time ago, and this was a little bit differently made, but it was one of my first videos, so you can check it out and see what you think of that one. All right, here it is. For my first project, I'm actually doing reusing an old sign that I had from the Dollar Tree. It's just one of those like particle board, I guess, signs that they make. I had originally painted it brown, but I don't know what I was going to use it for. I've decided to use it for my recipe or iPad stand. So first of all, I start off with painting it white. I'm using the Valspar white paint that I've used for my other projects, again, because this is what I have on hand and I'm trying not to go to the store. So I'm just going to give it a quick coat of white. I'm going to, well, my plan was to distress it, but then I kind of go a different way, but this is what I'm doing to start. So then, like I said, I tried kind of distressing it, but I didn't really like what's going on here. And I did not record myself gluing on the angle that I'm using for the bottom part. It is just a scrap piece of metal that we had laying around, and it's a nice L shape. So that's what I'm using. And I tried distressing it, but I didn't like the way it turned out. I was kind of going for a look, but I didn't like the way it looked. And you can see I painted the bottom part, the angle as well, because it was just it was silver. So now I've decided I'm going to make it look kind of galvanized with a little bit of rusting. So I'm starting off with some gray acrylic paint. It's actually silver metallic acrylic paint from the Dollar Tree. And I'm using this great dowel that I also got from the Dollar Tree. And these are products that I had laying around. And then I will go ahead and dab a little bit of black. I'm going to use some brown and some gold metallic acrylic paint just to achieve the look that I'm trying to achieve. Once that's dried, I cut out with my Cricut. I use the Magnolia Sky font, and I cut out recipes. And again, I'm using the Dollar Tree shelf liner to as my as my stencil, and I'm using my Valspar interior paint to dab on the letters. And I'm doing 2 coats of this because you don't want to go too heavy on your first coat, because if you go too heavy, then it's going to bleed underneath, and then your letters will be too smudged. So, and you want to dab it. I'm using a makeup sponge for this because my other sponge is too wet to use for this. So the makeup sponge works pretty well too, but again, you put a little bit on and you dab. You don't pull, you don't do anything like that, you just dab on, and a little goes a long way. So here's the final product. I really like the way it turned out. You can see some of the gold coming through, which is like the rust elements, and the brown that's coming through. I like the way the recipes turned out. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And here it is in another picture just with a cookbook, just so you can kind of get an idea of what that would look like. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought. Leave me a comment below, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and come back for more videos. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay safe. Bye.